All right, so last time we were talking about reasoning and logic, and we talked about some statements. We talked about some symbols, and we talked about a little bit of truth tables. I think that's pretty much what we had covered at this point. And we were about to talk about the last type of connective, and that type of a connective is called a conditional. So a conditional is a statement that is written in if-then form. Sometimes you also hear somebody say P implies Q when you're looking at the symbols, simply because we can sort of replace the word implies by that arrow that you see, kind of like saying, P plus Q, because we see that plus in the middle, so you hear the word implies. There's a hypothesis, there's a conclusion. So the hypothesis is the if part, and then the conclusion is the then part. And I showed you a little bit last time about how that looks in a truth table. And just to remind you, we had this truth table, and I talked about that a truth table for a conditional has only one false statement right here, circled in red, and that happens when you've got a true in the first column, the hypothesis, and a false in the second column, the conclusion. Okay, every other time it's a true result, or at least has the potential to be true, right? Which is those last two situations. All right, so let me back over here. Oops, one too many. We're going to do an example. So the example we're going to do is taking taking sentences and writing symbols for them. So our statements P and Q are the following. So P is the statement, you build it, and then Q is the statement, they will come. And so do you know what this is from, or is that so far well removed from Field of Dreams? Very good. All right, so we're going to take this and we're going to take a sentence and we're going to write it in symbols properly. So the first one is actually written as, they will come if you build it. So how would I write that in symbols? Because that doesn't look like if blank, then blank, which is what I said it should look like, right? So what are we going to do? You can either rewrite it or you can simply think about how it would be rewritten. This part's the if part, right? That is the part where the if is associated. So that's the beginning part of the sentence. And if you want to think about it, then we can move this part to the end. And this one starts at the beginning. You could even, like some of you were saying, physically rewrite it. If you build it, they will come. There's an understood then and there. So what would that look like in symbols?
P arrow Q.
It would be P arrow Q, because the build it part is what P represents and them coming is what Q represents. But this is another way to actually say the statement. And we talk like this. I mean, this is not something that's sort of out of the realm of what we use in conversation. We do this all the time. All right, the second one actually has the if at the beginning, so we don't have to do any moving. It says, if you do not build it, then they will come. So what would that look like? Yeah, that tilde. We encountered a tilde last time. That was an awful one. Let's try again. And the tilde means the word not. It's the negation. So this one would be tilde P implies, in this case, Q, because the negation does not apply to the second part. It doesn't say then they will not come. It just says they will come. Okay, sound good? Excellent. We're going to do another one, but we're going to do it with more than just the if-then, so more than just that arrow statement. All right, so P is going to be the statement, God loves me, and Q is going to be the statement, I'm a sinner. And we're going to write sentences now that represent the following symbols. So now we're given some symbols, and we're going to write the sentence that it represents. So this one says P, I've got this upside down V, and then I've got a Q. What in the world am I going to write down? God loves me, and then the and comes from that upside down sort of a V shape, right? And then the second part, I am a sinner. Correct and also true, right? Yeah. All right, second one here. I've got tilde Q, I've got an arrow, and then I've got a P. So what does this say? Good, we're going to use the word if at the beginning because we've got that arrow there, right? So if I am not a sinner, okay, now what? Then God loves me. This is actually a true statement. It's just that the first part can't actually happen, right? You guys recognize this. Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say what happens if you are a sinner. That's not what this statement actually is written to say. So you have to be really careful on how you're interpreting the logic on that. But that is written properly, so you guys did a good job. All right. All right, the last thing we're going to look at is something called a contrapositive. A contrapositive is a way of negating, well, not negating, but reversing statements. Let's say it that way. So if you have the implication statement P arrow Q, a contrapositive statement switches what? What do you see that's different for the contrapositive?
The letters are switched.
The letters are switched. The order is different.
And they both have tildes.
And they both have tildes. So in order to form a contrapositive, which is a logically equivalent statement, by the way, okay, you switch the order of the P and the Q, and you negate both pieces as well. And we're going to do one with language so you can see it happen. So this one says, if I am a sinner, then I am saved by grace. All right, so there's two pieces. There's the I am a sinner piece, and there's the I am saved by grace piece. And we're wanting to switch both the order and make them negations. So how will the statement start? If I am not saved by grace. Now what? Then I am not a sinner. Which sounds very awkward for that statement to be reversed in that way, because we don't talk about this like that, right? But that is logically equivalent. If we created truth tables, just like we talked about last time, logically equivalent statements would have the same T's and F's in the final column and all that good stuff. Any questions on that? Okay. Let me move that over here.